So World Food Day 2025 has a theme of hand in hand for a better food and a better future. And Send Ghana has been running a campaign together with the Ghana Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics on advocacy for front of pack warning labeling in Ghana. And the whole essence of the campaign is hinged on the rising burden of non-communicable diseases in Ghana, and then the need for a policy that sort of regulates the processed foods and then the nutrients of critical concern, that is foods that are high in sodium, that is salt, high in fat, and then high in sugars, so that we can reduce the disease burden. So on a day like this, we find it's important to rehash the essence of advocating for a policy that will ultimately result in reduction of non-communicable diseases in the country. So all foods are supposed to have labels, even though in Ghana it is not mandatory yet. There is a food labeling guideline that any food that is processed and will be packaged should have some nutritional information, and it is at the back of a label. So if this was any food item processed and packaged, you'll find that the back has a nutritional information, and it tells you what ingredients or substances are there in that particular product. However, the front of pack is such that it's the label, there are just a few labels or logos, and they give you clear information on the nutrients of critical concern that are in the food. And so you don't, any ingredient that is not of critical concern will not be on the front of pack. It is only these three nutrients of critical concern, that is the sugar, the salt, and then the fat, that are going to be on the front of the label, and it will tell you if it is high or it is low. Then it helps you make that informed choices. Right. You've asked two questions: one, influencing consumer behavior, and then two, promoting industry accountability. So front of pack, first of all, I've told you that there are very simple logos that are on the front of packaged foods, which consumers can easily identify. And so if you are picking any item on the shelf and you are concerned about any of these nutrients of critical concern, once the logo flashes it, you are able to identify whether you should pick it or not. So it helps consumers make quick, informed decisions about what kind of processed foods they are picking from the aisle into their homes. And then two is on the side of industry. It makes industry very responsible, accountable, and then transparent, because industry is now compelled to tell us that the milk that we are drinking, it has a higher level, a higher quantity of fat beyond the threshold that Food and Drugs Authority or medical experts or health experts in general will recommend. Once they hit that, above that threshold, they have to declare. So it makes industry transparent, it makes them responsible. And then ultimately, if you are putting a product that is not helping the population, then it sends a message for you to do the needful in your product's rebranding or reformulation. Ghana is not the first country to initiate a policy like this. So in North and Central America, and then Southern American states, precisely Peru, we have some in Mexico, they have implemented this front of pack, and 5 years down the line, they have realized that the non-communicable disease burden is reducing. I cannot give you the figures, but this is what is happening. And even South Africa, even though not a mandatory front of pack warning labeling, is already chalking success on the African continent. Kenya is in the process of developing, just like Ghana, and it is stemming from the fact that globally, we are seeing these trends, positive trends in reduction of non-communicable diseases. And that is why we also have the impetus to advocate for this policy in Ghana. So we have a number of policies that promote public health, including the Public Health Act. We have the NCD policy, we have the nutrition policy, even the school feeding program. They all are meant to ensure that the population is healthy, we are eating right. And then again, once we have right health, it means that we are healthy to go about our duties. What FOPL is going to complement all these policies is the fact that now it is a policy. Every other thing that happens in a person's life, you are responsible for it. Governments can educate you, the health experts can go on mass campaigns, sensitization sessions, but if I'm picking an item on the shelf and I do not know that it is really high in sugar, high in salt, and predisposes me to diabetes, hypertension, and other cardiovascular diseases, innocently I will pick them to the house. But once I have a front of pack label on that food item, I know it. And this is a policy directive. It is no longer the burden of finding out what to eat and what not to eat does not lie with me again. It is from the policy perspective that now comes down from the availability of that food on the shelf. And so when I go and pick it now, I know that I am picking right or I am picking wrong. So this is where all the other this FOPL policy is going to complement the other policies that are already in the system. So we've been on this campaign since October 2024. We have collaborated with five public tertiary institutions to organize symposia, sensitizing a whole university on front of pack warning labeling, its importance, and garnering their support to also advocate for the policy to be implemented in the country. Beyond working with, collaborating with the tertiary institutions, we've also trained advocates who are supporting us in their various communities with local level and community sensitizations, raising awareness, and also on social media. And then we're also collaborating with the media to publish stories of our engagement, and then on non-communicable diseases, linking it to FOPL and its importance for the country. And again, we have organized zonal engagement to ask stakeholders about the importance of front of pack warning labeling policy for Ghana. What's a good front of pack warning label policy should look like, and how citizens can contribute to the effective implementation of these policies. We've also collaborated with the Food and Drugs Authority, and then the National Development Planning Commission to have discussions about this whole policy and the directions of government in the development processes. So we have been both at the grassroots level and then at the policy influencing level to make sure that all the quarters involved in bringing the policy to life are actually aware and buying into it and supporting the campaign. The public is who we are advocating for, and their knowledge and their ability to get on board makes the whole process a success. If we do not engage the public and we get this policy sitting down on a certain shelf, the policy can sit there forever. But if we sensitize, rally the support of what we'll call constituents or people, the masses, grassroots, and they become aware, they also demand for this policy. And when the policy is actually implemented, it is not a document. It now becomes a label that sits on a food product and everybody can see it. So they also support in sensitizing communities and then, most importantly, making informed decisions for themselves. And so at every point in time, the public is the target. While we do the policy level advocacy, the public is the beneficiary, and so we make sure that we carry them along in the campaign. So the steps largely lies with government. Once there is the will to develop the policy, government goes through all the various steps that they need to implement a policy, and beyond the policy, form regulations. And then for this front of pack warning labeling policy to be effective, there is also a document that needs to be developed, which is called the nutrient profile model, that actually sets the thresholds for all the nutrients of critical concern in specific products. So if you take biscuits, ideally, there should be a certain maximum level of sugar allowed in biscuit. There should be a certain maximum level of salt allowed, and then there should be a certain maximum amount of fat allowed. If you go beyond that threshold, then you will get the warning label. And so it is important that both the FOPL policy document and then the nutrients profile model that actually gives leg to the policy will be developed. So this is what we are hoping that in due course, sooner than later, government through the Ministry of Health will implement these two documents for us to be able to now go into communities to do more sensitization. We are moving beyond curative medicine, which has been a long-standing practice, to now preventive medicine. And so even when you go to the health facilities, we now have the health promotion unit that sensitize people or educate people on healthy living, exercising, sleep, drinking water, some therapies here and there. They are all preventive measures. And FOPL is one key preventive policy that when it is enacted, it is going to complement all that government is doing. And very soon, when our non-communicable disease burdens are reducing, it sends signal to other West African nations, that is what you asked, about the importance of FOPL and its health outcomes. And then it can be that learning curve for these countries as well. So we believe that across West Africa, Nigeria is doing it, but we believe that Ghana will be a better storyteller to other West African countries. So we have a number of them. We have the Nutri-Score, we have the traffic lights, we have the gradient system, and then we also have the octagonal, and we have the triangles. What we are advocating for as a consortium is the octagon, and it is black with a white border on the outside. And once it's so clear that when you see this item on a food label like this, and it tells you it is high in salt, high in sugar, high in fat, and I am health conscious, I will not venture this product. So this is what we are advocating for. I will show you another product. So typically on a product like this product has both English and Arabic. If we were to look at the nutrition information here, it's so cumbersome to even understand what is there. But when you look at these, this is also a warning label, and it shows you what is here, the benefits. It says something like 4-in-1, and then all the other things that they highlight here are in green. So some color it, others do not color. What we want is just a warning label that tells that this food is high in fat, high in sugar, and high in sodium. Nothing more and nothing less. you.